Hi, my name is Allison Nicholson. I'm a director at the Sorenson Impact Center, and I work on our data and policy portfolio. And before we get in this breakout session, I actually want to hand it over to Geoff to make some announcements.
Thanks, everybody. Hopefully we have the bulk of the people here to do a couple of announcements like we did yesterday afternoon for those of you who endured all the way to the end. I know Sam was there, Amy, Desiree, a few others were there with us at the end. We're going to do that again. This time, though, Kyra, one of our other students, is going to announce some of the winners. Kyra, why don't you start by introducing yourself, where you're going to be studying, I guess, where you just studied and where you're going to be studying and what, and then give us the new announcement, and then why don't we redo yesterday's since there weren't as many on the Zoom link. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Geoff. Hi guys, my name is Kyra Villalon. I previously studied at Wayne State University in Detroit, but now I'm in Ann Arbor studying environmental health sciences for my master's at the University of Michigan. And I actually have a couple of awards to give out right now. Congratulations to Chris Connard for being our guest, who has the most summit attendances under his belt at 3 summits. Willa Luando, we missed you yesterday, but congratulations to you for being the farthest away from headquarters in Salt Lake City at 9,345 miles in Zambia.
And for that, so we'll have to see if you want the ticket to come all the way from Zambia next year, or maybe you can negotiate with us to get the sweatshirt instead, the coveted Sorenson sweatshirt instead.
Well, either one is good, the ticket or the flight back into the US. Interesting, I was one of the social impact entrepreneurs for 2018. So I did that long leg flight for SOCAP. Okay,
great. Well, we'll work out the details of that separately. And then Chris, is Chris here? If Chris is here, Chris, you've won a free ticket to next year's hopefully in-person event. Thanks, Kyra. Thanks for all the work that you've done with the center broadly, but also your help on this summit. Kyra and Paige, who you saw yesterday, have been behind the scenes on a lot of these things, but among others, they've been pulling quotes from the talks for social media and playing a part there. So thank you for all you did. Okay, Allison, thanks for letting us barge in here for a bit and your breakout discussion. Over to you.
Great, thanks so much. That was exciting. Okay, this module has been near and dear to me as I have an interest in all things education policy, from early childhood education to college and career awareness. And we all know education is a really weighty policy area. And I really enjoyed hearing our speakers touch on such important topics right now as we begin to emerge from this pandemic. We heard firsthand how students showed incredible resiliency, and that higher education is faced with a push to be more responsive to student and community needs. Institutions are adapting to better incorporate student voice while also balancing the needs and demands of other institutional, employer, or community actors. So now we all have the opportunity to connect with each other in smaller groups and discuss some of these issues. This is your time to network with one another. I would encourage you to learn about people in your group, their experiences and ideas about the future for education and what their organizations are doing to improve and impact education. So you're going to be placed in a breakout room for about 20 minutes, and then you'll return here before having the opportunity to connect with a second group of people. So to spark your conversations, I'd like you to reflect on your own experience with our education systems. And what did you hear today that challenged or broadened your thinking on education systems? And what do you think institutions and or students should be doing in the coming months or years to increase their impact? What will the future of education look like if institutions don't change the way they have operated in the past? Those questions are going to be there for you, posted in your chat, so don't worry. And also you can go off script and talk about anything you'd like to too. Enjoy your conversations, and please make sure to contribute to the chat and share highlights and ideas from your breakout rooms. Send us away.
But there are the questions showing up in chat. So click those before you go, before you get whisked away.
Okay, yes, everybody have a chance to click on that shared Google Doc.
Hi, I'll send you to a room right now.
Thanks much.
Wow, that went really fast. Did that go really fast for anybody else? Welcome back.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I hope you all had really lively and thought-provoking discussions. Remember to keep commenting in Slack or chat. And why don't we take a little time here to, if one or two people really had an aha moment they wanted to share out. I know in our very short time, my group talked about these old structures and how, we have this mold, and new students already know what they need to do and they're just stuck in this old mode. So I hope we can break that out. But please unmute yourself and share something for the full group.
I can share from our group. So we kind of had some consistent themes around the importance of shifting the system to be student-centric. And we kind of got cut off. We didn't have quite enough time to talk through the implications of that from a financial side. And so Andrew, brought up some really amazing points about, if institutions or how even the pandemic forced institutions to think more broadly about the whole experience of their students. And if they can find a way, to be more responsive to their needs, our institutions would be better. But then I kind of asked the question at the end of like, okay, but what does that look like financially? And is that even possible with the current, infrastructure? And so Andrew said he had amazing insights around in the system of endowments and things like that. So we got cut off, but yeah, it was a really, really good discussion.
That's great. I love that. Anybody else want to share what their group talked about?
Hi, I got to our session a little late because I'm working and also attending the session, the summit. But the little bit that I got towards the end was our group was talking about responding to the community and to the 21st century needs, and also breaking down silos. And then someone brought up the example of the university and the community surrounding the universities, and how there should be more integration between those two, especially because we know that universities are economic driver to many communities and towns across America. And then towards the end, we were talking about what would the classrooms of 2031 look like versus now, and how it's 10 years away, but it's not that far away, right? 10 years can pass very quickly. And then thinking also about being like I think it was Tiana said about being more responsive to student needs, and how do we do that? So we didn't quite conclude. We got caught up at the end.
Great. It sounds like breaking down silos was a theme in multiple. And I sometimes think about, the old image of ivory tower for education, and maybe, technology has helped bust that open. And I don't know if it's a reckoning or if it's, you've got to stay relevant. And so it was exciting to hear from people about how that is happening too. Any other thoughts? Any exciting examples of how you've actually seen silos break down in reality? What that actually looks like on the ground? It's quite a fancy term of breaking down silos, but love to hear people's experiences if they've seen that in person.
If I can, Allison, Megan put something in chat that MAPS is working on. Megan, if you're willing to share a little bit of some of these insights, because it was a core part of our discussion. It's great to try to break down the silos and be student centric. How does that work financially? And I know that's something the team's looked at. You want to share a few thoughts there?
Sure. And sorry, I'm on just audio today with a toddler in the background. But I think one of the things we've been looking at is there's a lot of talk about institutions closing, but we've found that there's not a lot of talk about the financial distress that is kind of widespread among institutions. And so this idea that like you do need resources, but there are also ways that you can be creative to actually be centered on students, even if your institution is closing. And sometimes we've seen like, if you're going to close, do you have a pathway for students to transfer? I read something about something like 40% of your credits transfer if you've been at a community college where that's like you would have to basically start over for a degree, and that's really distressing for a lot of students. So and we've talked to a lot of students, and a lot of them, it's like they just need to have an atmosphere where they truly feel like they're listened rather than checked as a box at the end of decision making. And so a lot of it is the processes that you're engaging in, and some of that takes resources, and some of that I think can be done creatively with a true commitment to those values.
Thank you for sharing that, Megan. I noticed a person unmuted earlier. If you want to jump in, please do.
Christine here. I'm in Toronto, Canada. Just talking about breaking down silos. From my own experience in university, we had a lot of projects where we had like a consulting arrangement sort of with a outside company. It really helped us to get involved in the community. We had, community not-for-profits that were like sponsoring, basically coming up with the idea for projects for students to engage with, as well as community businesses that were student-run and would support the community. And I think that those kinds of programs, I mean, talking about the vague concept of breaking down silos, just a couple examples of what you can do to really integrate the higher education system with the community.
I love that, and getting a little more real world experience before you graduate is always valuable for a student. Okay, I'm going to give one last chance for anybody to share, and then I'll kind of kick us off into our next breakout room.
I'll do a real quick one. It's a deep topic, though, talk about silos. And that is rethinking what investing is, because what's happening now is this is global. If you do research, all the fiat systems are collapsing, especially the dollar. There's been a breakdown, and it's moving to this kind of crypto digital currency world that some people love and believe in, others hate and think that's just kind of a joke. But what I'm seeing is direct exchange, especially with the millennials and the X-Gens, the exchanges of knowledge and products and services, and they're using these digital coins. And in Africa, any of you from Africa, they're using it directly to exchange because they can't access the dollar. I think it's critical to think about exchange of knowledge and learning systems that we tie investment and look at the future of currency. And think of the word currency. We want knowledge to flow, the money has to flow. And I think the old system is sort of on its way out, and there's a new one in. And we need to enable that and tie those two together tightly. I'm in with that.
Wow, those are great points. That was really fascinating. I look forward to seeing how that plays out, and thanks for that great example. Okay, so you're going to have one more opportunity to break out into these smaller groups for more discussion. You're going to a different group, so please get to know more people and look for opportunities to connect and keep the conversation going even after we log off. And this time we thought we could talk about equity, which you heard is a central theme today for multiple speakers. And what ideas do you have for creating more equitable education systems that are more student-centric and accessible to all families? And what support and training do teachers and professors and administrators need to make that happen, do you think?
Amanda?
Yes.
The concurrent sessions for tomorrow, have those emails been sent, that the Zoom link have not been sent out just yet, right?
Oh, no, I'm doing that after this Zoom call.
Okay, okay. I know I've received a couple emails this morning from some of the speakers for those sessions, but I will respond just that it will be sent out shortly.
Yeah, I just wanted to see how yesterday went before I sent them out, and then this morning has been busy, so I just haven't gotten to it.
Okay, and for UBS, your suggestion is to have someone in those that breakout or that concurrent session?
Yeah, just because somebody needs to be assigned as the co-host from after party. Like Catherine comes in and starts the meeting, and then I come in and she assigns me as a co-host and leaves. So somebody needs to be that person. I'm happy to do it, but then I would like, if there were any other issues in any of the Zooms, since there's multiple, I wouldn't be able to like hop from Zoom to Zoom and help anyone.
Okay, so I can be assigned to that one then.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
And you know how to like pin speakers, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hello. Everyone is in a breakout space, but they'll be coming back here in 5 minutes.
Sorry. Okay, thanks.
No problem.
Amanda.
Yes.
Hey, I'm responding to Ann Finnegan. She was one of the last speakers to onboard. The one that I've been sending emails for, she wanted to know, could the session title be changed? She actually was the one to email in about the Zoom link about tomorrow, but could their session title be changed from National Development Council, from National Business Council?
Yep.
Okay. She noted like they had invited some additional speakers, but it looks like it's going to be just their forum that's going to be on tomorrow.
I'm sending their invite right now.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. You probably got cut off in the most impressive point that was being made right at that same time, like we did too. Our group talked about, gosh, it's just a different experience for everybody. Everybody has brings something different to the table. I'd love to hear what you guys talked about and personal experiences that were shared in your groups.
So Allison, I'm happy to share on behalf of my group. We really talked about a number of things, but one thing in particular was the ways in which our education system has conceptualized what students are ready for when they come into higher education. So if you're a traditional student coming straight from the K-12 system into higher education, it's kind of expected that Kim said it really well, that it's not just that you know what you want to do, but you have to go really, really deep on it. And you have to show that you've hit certain marks, when really that's not always how the education system has been. That education, like that higher education historically has been a place to find yourself. And so the ways in which we are conceptualizing who, I guess, even the consumer of higher education is definitely shifting. And anyone in my group, feel free to join in and add more to that.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add is in the sense of community, how do these different types of people fit in for purpose? And I know it's an overwhelming system. There's lots of different education, offerings, whether it be a state-based research institution or something different. Yeah, how do you get different people to understand different backgrounds and come together in that next phase of education?
It's really amazing, like somewhat of the similarities that we had in our group too, talking about those same kinds of things and recognizing people's life experience and their value that they can add to learning and to the workforce, that are outside of our traditional confines and measurements of how we've done that. What else did people talk about? Did you talk about, personal witness of inequities during COVID, or we talked a little bit about professors and teachers and their role in impacting this. Anybody want to share for our last minute?
I can go real quick, I guess. So I work full time. I have 2 kids, but then I'm actually going back to school to get a bachelor's degree at a very slow pace. It'll take me about 8 years. But one of the reasons I didn't get a degree to begin with was, even though I'm a white woman, I grew up in a somewhat affluent area, I didn't have any help applying for college. And like I was doing a lot of it by myself. And I didn't know simple things like that. When they ask for an essay on the college application, like you should probably take your time, not just like write whatever comes into your brain at that moment, which is 100% what I did on a few of mine. It was really effective. But we just kind of talked about like how if I, who had like college educated parents and stuff like that, had all of those barriers into entry, that like the gap must be just so much bigger for other groups of people. And we just talked about like how early you need to intervene to try and fill that gap, because it is quite a big leap to make.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing, Stephanie.
Can I just piggyback off of what Stephanie's saying? Because I've just been through the college application process with my youngest daughter, and I have to tell you, as an adult and a parent, I'm glad it's over, because it is incredibly overwhelming at the secondary level to be looking at third level education. And what really hit home with me is that my children come from a privileged home. And the number of parents who availed of tutors and support to fill out applications to get into a college. And I thought to myself, how does that work for somebody who doesn't have the benefits that we have? We're lucky in our school district, we have a program called Bright Futures, where first generation kids primarily who are going off to third level education or hope to can go and get that kind of networking and support. But there's a huge gap there for those who can't afford it. And it's real. It's very real because college is so competitive. And this was the thing I was saying in our group, is that it would be really nice if third level education kind of pumped the brakes a bit so that secondary level kids, high school level kids in particular.
Those are such great conversations.
Could
there are a few things I'm taking away. The MAPS framework that we're using with the Gates Foundation.
Yeah, if they could pump the brakes just a bit and let kids in high school, slow down a little bit and figure out who they are so that when they get to college, they're not exhausted for one. There'll be more parity, more equity for who gets into
those are such great conversations.
So
here are a few things I'm taking away.
I think we're being summoned back to the main room, but thank you, everybody. It sounds like you all had great connections, and we can continue figuring out ways to help with that college knowledge. And there's some great examples that have been in the chat. So thank you, everyone. We'll see you back